Welcome to the ISMP Medication Safety Podcast, supported by Novartis Name Creation and Regulatory Strategy. My name is Nikhila Viswanathan, and I am a Regulatory Pharmaceutical Fellow in Medication Safety for Novartis Name Creation and Regulatory Strategy. In this podcast, we will be discussing issues with the use of Paxlovid for the treatment of COVID. Today, we are speaking with Sadiq Owalewa, PharmD, who is the 2022-2023 FDA ISMP Safe Medication Management Fellow. Prior to his fellowship, Sadiq worked at a variety of community pharmacies and has experience with providing many vaccinations, including COVID vaccine, as well as counseling patients on safe medication use. Sadiq, our first question for today is, can you tell us what is Paxlovid and what is it used for?
Absolutely. Paxlovid was authorized under the emergency use authorization by the FDA in December 2021, and it's used for mild to moderate COVID 19, and it is composed of 2 tablets of nalmefene and 1 tablet of ritonavir.
Okay. Our next question is, what qualifies a patient to take Paxlovid?
All right. So for Paxlovid, for a patient to be indicated for that medication, you have to be positive for COVID-19 virus, and then you also have to be at risk of progressing to severe COVID that can require hospitalization and death. So it has to be a serious case of progressing to severe COVID, and is authorized for adults and also pediatric patients. You have to be 12 and above, weighing at least 40 kilograms.
So, relating to that, so we might have some patients that might be taking Paxlovid. And the next question is, what side effects should these patients be aware of when taking Paxlovid?
So Paxlovid is usually well tolerated. Patients usually don't have any problem taking the medication. The most common side effect, though, that patient might experience while taking this medication is usually GI related. So the patient may have a stomach ache, diarrhea. Some patients also complain of having a weird taste in their mouth. We also have, this is very rare, but in the case of a severe allergic reaction, such as having difficulty breathing or swallowing, or in the case of having like a yellow skin, the patient should stop taking Paxlovid immediately and contact their health professional to get help.
Yeah, thank you so much for giving some insight on the side effects. I think it's really nice that you told us a little bit about the common side effects and also some more serious one patients should look out for as well. So our next
Absolutely.
question, yep. And our next question is, are there any restrictions or concerns regarding the prescribing of Paxlovid?
So Paxlovid, it is not indicated for severe COVID. It is only for mild to moderate COVID-19 infection. And it's also not for prevention of COVID. So it's not authorized to prevent someone from getting COVID. And lastly, it's also not authorized for patients who are already hospitalized. So again, it's only for mild to moderate COVID-19.
Hmm. And so since you're an ISMP fellow, I had a question relating to your experience there. So what types of medication errors have been reported to ISMP regarding Paxlovid?
That's a good question. We have actually received many errors related to Paxlovid that have been reported to ISMP. And just before I start, I just want to put it out there that the normal dose, so for a patient that has mild to normal renal function, the normal dose for Paxlovid is 2 tablets of nalmefene and 1 tablet of ritonavir. For a patient that has moderate renal function, which is described as having an EGFR between 30 and 60 ml per minute, will be 1 tablet of nirmatrelvir and 1 tablet of ritonavir. However, so we've had different errors reported to ISMP in the past. One of them can be like prescribing. Let's start with the packaging error. So sometimes when the patient comes to the pharmacy, they will. Sometimes the pharmacy would dispense the wrong package. The package that was indicated for a patient with moderate renal function. Sometimes that package is given and dispensed to a patient with normal and mild renal function. And one contributing factor to that could be the various similarities between the normal and mild renal function and the moderate renal function. The packaging between those two are very similar. So it's, mistake like that happens quite often. Another errors that have been reported happens on the prescribing end. Sometimes the prescriber will prescribe Paxlovid to a patient who have severe renal function, which we discussed earlier. It is not indicated for severe renal function. Or sometimes the prescriber will accidentally prescribe the wrong quantity to a patient. So for a patient who has moderate renal function, they're supposed to receive 20 tablets. Sometimes the prescriber will be confused and prescribe 30 tablets for those patients. And again, one thing that could contribute to this would be the doctor just being unaware about the difference between the two dosing for normal renal and moderate renal, and just trying to clear up that confusion with the prescribers. Like I said earlier, regarding dispensing, when Paxlovid first came out in 2021, December 2021, the pharmacist in the retail setting had to remove 1 tablet from the normal dosing. So usually when it first came out, it came in 5, in packages of 5 tablets. And the pharmacist will have to remove 1 tablet of nirmatrelvir from the morning dose, or 1 tablet from nirmatrelvir from the evening dose before giving it to the patient. And sometimes the pharmacist will forget to remove the needed dose from the patient with moderate renal function, and vice versa. So we've had so many errors regarding the dispensing end. And one thing that could contribute to that error happening would be that some pharmacies do not always stock the packaging, the newer packaging that's indicated specifically for patients with moderate renal function.
Thank you so much for talking about all the different types of errors. So, in relation to this, what recommendations does ISMP have to address these reported errors and its contributing factors?
Right. So the first thing that ISMP recommends to help to address all these problems would be, especially on the prescribing end, would be to just provide education. Provide education to the prescribers to let them know the difference between the different packaging for moderate renal and mild renal function. Also, to just remind them that patients that have severe renal function should not be prescribed Paxlovid. We also suggest making it easier for them in the EHR to make it very easy for the prescribers to choose the quantity that's needed. That way, they don't have to guess between 20 tablets or 30 tablets for the patient that they're trying to prescribe to. And then lastly, when the patient comes into the pharmacy to pick up their Paxlovid medication, we also recommend for the pharmacist who is filling that prescription to verify the renal function before dispensing the medication. In the case that a retail pharmacy like CVS or Rite Aid pharmacies do not have that renal function or that information, they should be encouraged to pick up the phone and call the doctor to get the information that they need before being dispensing Paxlovid. And then lastly, as always, as a pharmacist, counseling, patient counseling. In your EHR, you want to make sure that patients that are coming in for Paxlovid are marked in the computer system, so that when they are on the point of sale, they can easily be identified and pulled aside and explain how to take the medication, and also have the patient explain to you, teach it back to the pharmacist to really reaccess their understanding of the information that you've just given them. And we believe if we do all of these recommendations, we can avoid making mistakes and help patients recover quicker.
Yeah, I definitely agree with some of the recommendations that you mentioned. We can definitely resolve some of the errors with Paxlovid. So thank you, Sadiq, for taking the time to provide this information. If you would like to learn more about ISMP or regarding errors associated with Paxlovid, please visit ISMP's website that is displayed on the screen. If you have any questions, please email ISMP at info@ismp.org. This concludes our podcast. Thank you.
Thank you.